Okay, so let's talk about synthetic division. So I have here on screen an example of a long division problem, and I'm going to do the same problem by synthetic division, just so you can see like the setup of it and how it works. And I wanted to have the long division problem next to it so you can see the connection between the synthetic division answers that we get and the way the long division problem works. So synthetic division basically is never going to take up any more than 3 lines of your notebook paper. You do not need to draw those blue lines. Those would be the lines on your paper. So it's going to take up no more than 3 lines of your paper. On your first line, you're going to have a little box here, and there'll be some numbers written beside it and inside the box. And then between the second and third line, you'll draw another line. There's your synthetic division setup. All right. Now, synthetic division is different than long division in that it only involves the numbers, like the coefficients in problems, not the actual like variables and powers. So if you're missing terms when you do synthetic division, it is super important to put those in. Okay, so the thing that's going to go next to the little box, this is going to be the coefficients of the dividend. And remember, the dividend is the thing that's under the house or on top of the fraction. So if I look at my dividend, the coefficients of that are 1, 5, 3, and 4. And if any of them were negative, I put in negative, obviously. Now, inside the little box is going to go a number that represents the divisor. And the number that goes there is the number you get when you set the divisor equal to 0 and solve for x. So my divisor in this problem is x plus 3. I'd set that equal to 0, solve for x, and I get x. Ooh, that's not even legible, is it? I get x is negative 3. So that number is going to go here in the box. So coefficients of the dividend to the right of the box, including any zeros if you're missing terms. Number that makes the divisor equal to 0 inside the box. And then there's one last piece of setup. We're going to take the first coefficient of the dividend and bring it down below the line. And I draw an arrow there because I don't want anything to go in that space, and that blocks out that space, so I don't put anything in the space. All right, so here we go. Long division has a 4-step algorithm: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Synthetic division has a 2-step algorithm, and the 2-step algorithms are multiply and add. And I'll show you what that looks like right now. The multiply part of it, you start with the number that's inside the box that represents the divisor, and you multiply it by the last number below the line. So we're multiplying those two things. So negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. That goes in the next column above the line. That's the multiply part. And then the add part, you add the numbers that are stacked on top of each other. So 5 plus negative 3 is positive 2. That goes in the same column below the line. So you repeat. Multiply the number in the box by the last number below the line. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. That goes in the next column above the line. Add the numbers that are stacked on top of each other. So 3 plus negative 6 is negative 3. Repeat it again. Multiply negative 3 times the last number below the line. So negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. That goes above the line in the next column. And then we add the numbers that are stacked. 9 and 4 is 13. Now when you get to the end, the last number that you get, we don't have anything left over here, right? So we take the last number that we get and we box it off. Now, I'd like you to look at the numbers we got below the line here. And I'd like you to look at the answer we got for long division. You see a pattern? Right. These numbers are the coefficients of my quotient. This is a 1, this is a 2, this is negative 3, this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a negative 3. Now, this coefficient, that 1, is the coefficient of an x squared term. That is a power 1 less than what we started with. Then the 2 is the coefficient of the next term down. The -3 is the coefficient of the next term down, which will be x to the 0, so it's just like a constant. And then that 13, that's the remainder. So we're going to do with that remainder what we've been doing the whole time, writing it in as a mixed number. Now, that again is how synthetic division goes. We're going to do some practice problems in class so you can get some more familiarity with the algorithm, but I wanted to show you this really quickly. You see these numbers that are kind of here in the middle, this like 5 and -3, and the 3 and the -6, and the 4 and the 9. I want to show you where those show up in the long division. This 5 and -3 comes from 5 minus 3. The 3 and the -6, 3 minus 6. 4 and the 9, 4 minus -9. So you see the synthetic division algorithm gets at what's going on in long division, but only it does it without all the variables and stuff. So in class, we're going to talk about when you can and can't use synthetic division, do some more example problems together, and then you'll work on your mazes.